Welcome to the Channel Partner Podcast with James Alexander, a series of interviews with leaders from the IT channel here in Ireland.
Welcome to the show. I'm joined today by Ben Killeen, Managing Director of Sensys. Welcome, Ben.
Thanks for having me, James.
Thanks
Appreciate
for coming on. Ben, so Sensys, for people that don't know you, tell us a bit about who you are and who Sensys is.
Yeah, so my name is Ben Kileen. I'm the Managing Director of Sensys. We're an IT MSP AI and automation company. And I've had the pleasure of leading the team at Sensys for the past 11 years. And I've worked in the IT and technology space for about 16 years now. So that's us.
Very good. And Sensys wasn't your first business, was it?
No, so I've had multiple businesses. So I've had a business consulting and strategy company in Ireland and abroad. I've had Sensys, and I've also had engineering businesses and businesses outside the technical space as well. Some successful over the years, some not so successful, and everything in between. That goes with startup companies and companies that are maturing over that time. So, but they've been very much businesses, running in tandem rather than one after the other. And
Yeah, okay. So when did you set up Sensys?
So it was 2015, if memory serves me right. So myself and my co-founder, Alan. So Alan is our technical director. I'm the managing director. We are a partner-led company, which is very important to us because we have very strong roots and beliefs in how we make our clients' businesses and our own more efficient and automated. So it's myself and Alan that lead the company, and we own the business as well.
Okay, very good. And you don't spend all your time in Ireland. I believe you sort of do a bit abroad as well.
Yeah, so we are. So we're an Irish. Our head office is in Ireland, in Maynooth, in Kildare.
Okay.
But we have an office in Dubai, and where we cover the Middle East and some of Australia. We've clients in Australia as well, and we have a regional satellite office just outside London as well, where we service a couple of customers across, have sites across Ireland and the UK primarily. Okay. So, yeah, I seem to spend my life on the road or in airplanes, but keeps it interesting.
Yeah. Okay. And look, let's talk about positioning, because I know when we first spoke, maybe 2024, when I came across Sensys, I would have thought, okay, MSP business, managed services, IT managed services, bit of security, but very much with a strategic lens. Like you were talking about strategy a lot then. How has that evolved into your positioning now?
Yeah, so we position ourselves very differently, I think, to most of the rest of the IT MSP market, not just in Ireland, but abroad as well. So my background is in strategy and in business consulting and in lean thinking. And we had a business that just focused on that side, outside of the IT MSP space. And we had Sensys, which was an IT MSP, everything you would expect from an MSP, being a managed service provider, where we looked after, outsourced IT support, cybersecurity, networking, and anything for companies up to 500 staff approximately, where they would outsource their IT department to us, and that's very much the core of what we do today still.
Okay.
However, what I realized and what we realized as a team a couple of years back was, well, having Sensys as an IT MSP over here in this box, and having our business consulting and strategy and lean thinking advisory in a separate company on this side wasn't helping our positioning. When we looked at ourselves as an IT MSP, we are very fortunate to have very long-term clients over the last 10 or 11 years. There's people with us from the very beginning. But if we were very honest with ourselves, we felt like we were the same as the rest of the market. We felt like we were, reselling Microsoft, reselling cybersecurity, networking. The product stack is somewhat limited, and I'm very familiar with the rest of the IT industry, and especially in Ireland, the UK, and some of the Middle East. And it was very much people were selling on, cloud when cloud migration came in. Then it was cybersecurity, and now it's AI.
Yeah.
Where when we looked around the room, it was very much we're all doing a flavor of something similar. There will be some that offer better service than others, some at the higher end of the market, some at the lower end, and everyone in between. But there was a similar flavor. You have Microsoft and Google at the end of the day who own the space. And we realized that to help our positioning, and what we were really good at, if I boil it down, was solving business problems. And we had that from the business consulting side of our, company.
So sorry, they were two separate companies.
Two separate companies,
Oh, right,
two separate offerings. So what we done was said, well, let's bring these together. And at the end of the day, what we're doing is solving business problems. We're helping our clients have better visibility and better control of their company. And there's no point in having a business consulting practice over here and an IT practice over here. When we bring those together, that's really where the value is coming from. And, I'd love to say it was some very academic, strategic workshop where we came up with this, but actually it came from practice of we realized from real life interactions with our actual clients that this was what the demand was. So, whether it was AI or lean thinking or solving strategy issues, at the end of the day, the tool doesn't really matter. It's, well, what are we trying to solve here? And is that business advice or is that technology advice? So it's the intersection of where those two come together is really where our positioning is. Hope that makes sense.
Yeah. So if we talk about business consulting then, that could still be quite broad.
Yeah.
What problems would your customers have? Like before they come to you, what pain are they experiencing before they knock on your door and say, we need help?
So very often it's processes is where it probably all boils down to.
Or lack of.
Yeah, so systems and processes. And, it kind of sounds cliche, but the whole thing of systems will set you free. I really believe that in business, if you have a proper system that flows, that's how you scale businesses. That's how you make businesses more profitable. I've seen that in my own companies that have failed, where we've gone wrong. I've also seen that in my own companies where we've been very successful. But I've seen that, we see that every day in our clients' companies. So to answer your question, what we're seeing and what we see in loads of companies is just waste is rampant. There's so much waste in businesses and in business processes. We talk about lean thinking a lot to help identify and just maybe surface that waste. And so the problem we solve is helping our clients, companies eliminate waste and make the process flow. We talk about it in the lean space as a process, or when a customer interacts with your company, if you're adding value, it should be, almost the value is flowing to your customer like a river. It's we're not having these, I ask a question and nobody knows the answer. We're not having this where, you just have waiting and approvals and underutilized talent. Like lean is, we'll get into it, but there's so much waste, fragmented systems and processes that don't flow in most businesses, no matter whether that's a 2-man company or a 2,000 person company. That's what we see. And so in this day and age with automation and AI, is that a technology problem or is that a business problem? So you can see it's probably a bit of both.
Okay. So sort of two things I'd like to break down there. So I'm assuming that because of the MSP space that you sort of operate in, they might still come to you with a technology problem. Yeah. And then you sort of dig deeper and say, well, before we address that, let's actually look at the processes first. Is that fair?
100% fair.
And you've mentioned lean, a few times as well. I understand lean as a concept, but I don't really know what it is. So when you talk about lean, what exactly do you mean?
Okay. So I'll dig into the first piece to begin with. So yes, very often clients and businesses come to us looking to solve a problem using technology. And over the last 12 to 24 months, that conversation typically starts with, we want to add AI to our business because they've read about AI, it's at all the industry conferences, and you can't open the paper without seeing that. So the conversation typically starts with us being the MSP or the service provider about, I want to add AI to my business and it's going to solve all my business problems. And it doesn't. In fact, if you add AI to a broken process, it will cause more mayhem. It will just accelerate that. So very much what we do and how we're very much different is we stop and say, forget about the technology for a minute, whether that's simple automation, whether that's AI, whether it's cloud migration, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. What are we actually trying to solve? So if it's greater efficiency, if it's doing more with less people, if it's a better customer experience, or if it's increased profitability, you can probably name on one hand the reason business owners and managers want to use AI. If we're true about it, it's one of those items. But we're big advocates for, don't just bolt on AI. In fact, there's academic research there from Harvard and MIT that 95% of AI implementations have failed. And that's because people think it's a bolt-on layer. They think of it almost like signing up to a SaaS subscription or a software subscription. That doesn't work, but it's everywhere and it's rampant. Yeah. So what we do is we say, stop for a second, let's introduce lean thinking. And you can imagine sometimes it gets you some raised eyebrows because either people don't know what lean is or they associate it with manufacturing and Toyota production system, which is where lean originated from in Japan. So if you're in an accounting practice or a legal firm or a hotel or government and you're talking about lean, it's like, well, yes, I've heard of lean, but that's to do with making cars. Why are you talking to me about it? But really what lean is about identifying waste. We talk about it having your waste goggles on. So it's about learning and understanding that, how do I see waste in a business? And I don't just mean waste being, wasted material or wasted food or wasted resources. There's a whole 7 or 8 different wastes in lean, and it's slightly different for every industry, or it can be. But it's about seeing waste in processes, eliminating that waste on paper first, and working with the companies to ask, why do you do it like this? What is there a better way? Is there a cheaper way? Is there a more efficient way? Why all the time? And we're not talking about technology yet. So let's work out the best way to do this on paper. And I can give you some examples of this, but if we can identify and eliminate that waste first and make the process more efficient, well, then we can talk about automation and AI. Like automation and AI, when I talk about AI, I'm speaking about like AI agents, agentic AI, where you embed them in a workflow to make you more efficient. It's almost like adding a turbocharger to the process. It will do it and it will make it so much more efficient. The power of it, I genuinely don't think most business owners understand the power of agentic AI and the difference it's making in companies already. But only if the process is mapped out right first. While it will make you much more efficient, it will also amplify your broken process and cause mayhem. So that's why a tech guy is speaking about lean thinking, because actually it just boils down to the fundamentals of, let's fix this first.
Yeah, but what access would you need then? So, I mean, to go in and actually identify where waste and leakages might be in a business, do you have to go in and run customer interviews with every stakeholder? Is it actually reviewing their application stack and looking at how they use it? But what does that involve exactly?
Yeah, so some of all of that. So we're working with a very large construction organization in the Middle East at the moment. And what that looks like is, first of all, running workshops and lean workshops to help management and the team there understand lean, understand the 8 wastes, understand what value creation in a process is, and that everything else is waste. And when you start speaking about lean and people can understand it and identify it, well, then there's no better person or team or people, should I say, to see waste in a business than the people that are in that business every day. I can come in or my team can come in, but it's the business owner or manager or C-suite or actually the people doing the work that when they understand lean, it just goes off like a light bulb. You never think the same way again, in that they will see the waste and they'll identify it themselves, and we will help coach that out of them to bring it to the forefront of, well, why do we do it like this? Well, we've always done it like that. That's the only reason.
Yeah.
So it starts with that. Then there is very much a working with departments on how do you do it right now, understanding how it's done and why it's done like that, and what maybe the blocks will be to, well, why we can't change this, and understanding the way the current process is and mapping that out. And like mapping it out on a whiteboard, mapping it out, there's nothing fancy about this. It's a case of understanding, why do we take these steps? And very much there's just light bulb moments all the time. Like lean isn't something you need to go to college for 10 years to understand.
Yeah.
It's just understanding it from a very fundamental level and saying, yeah, that's silly why we do it like that when we could just do it like this. And maybe you don't need technology at all for some processes. Most businesses have hundreds of processes that they don't understand or that they don't think about every day. So very often it's about, yeah, but there is a better way of doing this. And just, whether it's moving benches together, whether it's moving how paperwork flows around an office, whatever it might be. So yeah, a series of workshops, a series of spending time with the people on the floor who are doing the actual work, whether that's an accounting office, a legal office, a factory, a hotel. It really doesn't matter. Every organization has processes. And then it's a case of what we call like a value stream map. So it's mapping out, well, the new way of doing it and getting buy-in from the people who are actually doing it, and they're mapping that out with us.
Yeah.
And
that sounds like the hard piece, the buy-in, because I would have thought there's a significant amount of change management that has to go into getting someone to change how they've always done things.
Yeah, change management's a big piece of it, but actually, if you can involve the people who are actually doing it from the beginning, the change management nearly looks after itself, because if we're working together with them and identifying the waste, well then, anybody who's doing it, it's about making their job and life easier. So if they're mapping that out and they're saying, yeah, well, this is the new way we're doing it, the change management does look after itself, to be honest. Okay. The only time change management fails is when this is done at a boardroom and C-suite level and we don't involve the people who are actually doing the work, and then it's dictated to them as in, here's the new way of doing it.
Yeah.
And there's no understanding. And actually a big part of lean thinking is, comes from Japan, it's about respect. Respect for people. It's about flattening that org chart somewhat, different for every organization. But we talk about going to the gemba, going to where the work actually takes place or the value's created. If you go and you try to map this out in a boardroom and then dictate to the people who do the work, it will fail. Or it certainly won't be as successful as it will be doing it or getting those people involved up front. And actually getting those people involved up front who actually do the work and create the value in the company helps even identify the process in the first place. Because in your company right now, or in any company right now, there's typically two processes that happen for every process. There's the one that management would like to think that happens, and then there's the way it's actually done. And how it's actually done will be shown to you by the people who actually do it.
Yeah.
So it's the change management, if it's done right and people are involved, well, then it's human nature, you'll get buy-in. Where if it's dictated to them at the last minute, this is how we're doing it tomorrow, you will get resistance. And you also need to remember as well that when people think of lean, the name is almost unfortunate, because you think of lean, you think of eliminating things, and it is stripping back. So people automatically think you're going to take my job. And then you talk about AI and there's all the scaremongering online and it's like, oh, my job is definitely gone. Yeah. It's not about that. It's about making their life easier. It's about just doing things that make sense. So, in our own finance office in our company in Sensys, the people who were doing bookkeeping for 10 years no longer do management accounts because it's all automated. So, but we haven't replaced those people. Those people have moved up, and we almost think of them now as process engineers. They're looking for waste. They're looking to uncover why do we do it like that? There is a better way, and they spend their time improving things. Now, if you spend time with your people on the gemba or people in your company, no matter where they are, and train them to become to identify waste, to eliminate it and see a better way, well, then you have people all over your company that improve things. Like, how powerful is that?
Yeah.
It's
How do
phenomenal.
you know so much about lean?
Well, I wouldn't say I know lots about lean. It's you learn about it all the time. It's funny. I heard someone, talk about it almost as if it's a cult, and it is a bit. But
Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
it is like, I would say lean has genuinely changed my life. It's definitely changed my business life, and that sounds
That's
a bit
huge.
yeah. It sounds mad, but when I first seen lean, we had a business with problems in it, and we went looking to solve those problems. This was one of my own companies outside of technology. And when I first seen lean and I understood it, and you kind of think, well, it's fundamental stuff, and it is. But when you stop and you think about the amount of waste in business, from transport, inventory, motion, waiting, over-processing, overproduction, defects in a business, and underutilized skills, they're the 8 wastes. You start to look at your business and just everything you do, and you're like, oh my God, this is nuts. So I did an MBA. Lean is a module, and operations in there. Being honest, it was a big help for it, but I was involved. And you could go and do all the MBAs in the world that you like and still walk away and not be a lean thinker.
Yeah. When did you do the MBA?
Started it in 21 or 2, I think. Yeah.
It's interesting because not many entrepreneurs do MBAs. Like most people I see doing them are the ones sort of progressing up the corporate ladder, so to speak.
So why? Well, that's the $1 million question. Honestly, it was the best thing I ever done. I was lucky enough to do it in Trinity College, and having done the MBA, I again see things differently. Maybe a lot of it was, again, it sounds cliche, but the people I met, there was 40 to 45 other people, really high achievers. It's like, what's the saying? You spend your time in a fish shop, you come out smelling a fish. Spend your time in a perfume shop, even if you haven't used the perfume, you come out smelling perfume. Spend your time with people who go and who are the top of their game. You'll come out thinking like them, and so on. And I definitely think that was the biggest benefit I got from it. But why I did it, it's a hard question to answer. It was very much, I started off in business or in the workspace when I was 16, left school. And
you didn't do your leaving cert?
Didn't do the leaving cert.
Okay.
Never done a formal college, and went straight into work in technology and in engineering. And I did spend time and did different courses and programs to, everything from fiber optics to networking to Microsoft, et cetera, et cetera. It's another day's podcast, but it was, I'd ran businesses. One of my companies had, over 100 people at the time, and we'd hired in management who, were CFOs and other really incredible people. But why did I do it? Again, I don't know the answer, to be honest, but there was maybe somewhat of to prove to myself that I could, if I'm really honest. I'll be completely honest, when I began it and you're in a room with such incredible people, it was very intimidating. It was, well, can I learn? Will I take this in? What about exams? I've never done one of those before.
Yeah.
And luckily I did finish it and I did pass and everything else. But it was, there was a lot more to that than lean. It was heavy on finance and strategy and so on. But it is definitely added to the skill set, I guess, to the way I think. Maybe helped with some imposter syndrome that you can do it. And but the people in the network that comes out of something like that is genuinely what I gain most.
Yeah. Okay. So I can kind of see the story forming. Like, you obviously learned from having businesses, some failing, some doing well. Mm-hmm. Got introduced to lean. That became a big part of how you operate your business now. Did your MBA. Mm-hmm. MSP's always been what you do in Sensys, and that's kind of the big picture now in terms of how you're servicing your customer base.
Yeah, absolutely. And it all fitted together perfectly,
by design.
By design, yeah. And then AI came along, and we were very much of, I'm a massive advocate for AI. I just see the power in our own business and our clients' businesses. And I still think it's very much at its infancy. We're at the internet when Google hasn't come out yet.
Okay.
But the power of it is moving a million miles an hour. And, I've been in tech 16 years, but I've certainly never seen anything go this fast, even in the last 16 years. It's a continuous learning on the AI and tech side, but it's also very exciting. You're solving problems faster, and like the barrier of entry for SMEs right up to massive corporates has never been lower. There's no excuse for bad service or bad processes anymore. That together with lean thinking, and not to harp on about lean, but that's a continuous learning thing. Doing a week's course on lean isn't lean. I'm going to Japan this October to spend time with Toyota and T1, T2 suppliers on a lean mission for a week. And I think you'll come away from that having learned a whole load more. Spend a lot of time with the lean community in Ireland, the UK, and the Middle East. And
There's
every
a lean
time.
Community.
Yeah, there's a massive lean community.
The cult.
yeah, exactly. We all go and pray there's a massive lean community in Ireland. So there's a great place in Northern Ireland called Seating Matters. There's a guy who runs that called Ryan Tierney. He runs a program called Lean Made Simple and has a very good podcast as well. And his mission is to make Ireland the next Japan in terms of efficiency. Now, that might seem a mad statement, but when he said it in both his YouTube channel, but also there's a lot of conferences, you walk away and you know that this guy's going to do that, because he's held the Lean Summit here a couple of years in a row, and even in Belfast it was the end of last year, I was lucky enough to attend, and there was 350 people from America, Japan, UK. They flew in from Australia, everywhere, to come to Belfast to learn about lean. And so sorry, to answer your question, there's a massive lean community here. I see government are very much, there's a lean government summit, lean in construction summits. Their Enterprise Ireland and local enterprise offices in Ireland have grants and funding towards it. So there's a lot of people that see that it makes sense.
Yeah.
For businesses out there, if they're not yet thinking about lean, they need to learn.
So think about lean before AI. But like, if we go back to MSPs then, I mean, MSPs, obviously when cloud came along, that was kind of, if you're not in the cloud, you're going to miss out, and it's probably more efficient and it's faster. And then cyber came along, and I felt that the sell during cyber was more, you're pretty scared if something goes wrong, and it was sold on fear. What's AI then? Is it a combination of both? And, what are SMEs out there not seeing that they should be seeing at the moment?
Yeah. We very much seen that as well, as in, there was the wave of getting everyone to the cloud, then there was the wave of getting everyone cyber secure, and now it's getting everybody on board with AI.
Like, what's on board though? Is it using it? Is it being, just prepared for it in general?
I think it's both.
Okay.
I think it's a lot of businesses out there that want to implement AI into their business aren't ready. There's a lot of businesses out there that just don't have the foundations and fundamentals ready, like even from a cybersecurity point of view or a cloud point of view. But I genuinely think that the MSP space and the IT space and technology providers have a long way to go as well. So what I mean by that is, if you look at the marketing of IT MSPs globally, they're very much still selling on cloud migrations, on cybersecurity and so on. Now, everything we do in Sensys is underpinned by using cloud and using the power of the cloud, because it actually helps with AI and efficiency.
Yeah, they're just table stakes.
Absolutely. And same with cybersecurity. The amount of people that sell on cybersecurity and fear-mongering almost now, or scaremongering, and I understand why, because I think there's a lot of businesses out there, massive corporates and SMEs, who don't take cybersecurity seriously.
Yeah.
So
we should look at the Striker example this week.
Exactly. And so it is about giving the best advice. Now, for us, everything we do is underpinned by the best of cybersecurity, by the best cloud technologies, the most reputable providers. But we don't lead with that. I think about that. It's a bit like catching a flight or booking an airline ticket. It's like selling on the safety of the airline. You almost assume that, well, if you're running an airline, you better have your safety in check. It only becomes a problem when safety isn't in check and then everyone knows about it. I
Yeah.
feel like that in the tech space, that the client and the SME should almost assume that us as a tech provider, everything we do is underpinned by cybersecurity, by backups and so on. And it's only if we fail at that it becomes an issue. So for me, clients and SMEs and businesses, you don't wake up in the morning excited to write a check for cybersecurity. It's a bit like paying the insurance guys. Nobody likes doing that.
Yeah.
It's a case of having to do it. Where if you have a conversation with a business owner or a C-suite about becoming more efficient, becoming more profitable, giving you better control and visibility, that's what lean thinking and that's what AI gives you. Well, then that's a whole different conversation. And they're the conversations we have. And it's almost a byproduct that, yes, well, if you're implementing technology, whether it's software or Microsoft, Google, backups, whatever it might be, that's my job to make sure that that's secure, and my team's job. Use the customer almost should assume that box is checked.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think in terms of everybody wants to start the conversation with AI from the client side, but 9 times out of 10, or even higher probably, it results in, well, we need to get the foundations right first so that the whole thing isn't a house of cards. And whether that's a cloud migration or whether that's getting their house in order on cyber or anything else, for, it could be 20 other things. That's typically how that conversation goes.
Yeah. Okay. So from an AI perspective, you're kind of tempering expectations first. Go lean, figure that out, and then build on top of it.
Yeah. Is it tempering expectations? I'm not sure it is. I think it's very often when customers ask us about AI, they typically ask us about, how can I get ChatGPT or how do I get Copilot? And then I'm an AI company. And I'm like, nah, that's kind of gimmicky. It's useful and that'll help you write your emails and pull a document from your SharePoint or your Google Cloud or whatever it might be. But when we show them what AI agents can do, I actually don't think that's tempering expectations. I think that's oh my God, I can't believe it can do that.
Okay.
And we're very much there. It's not a case of, is that where AI is going to be in the future? We today are putting in AI agents into a 5-man business and to the biggest corporates in Ireland and the Middle East. And it's game changing, and absolutely game changing. And it's replacing jobs, it's replacing people, it's changing how people work. And the businesses who are burying their head in the sand on it, I think it's almost like saying, I'm not going to use the internet back in the day. So it's not tempering expectations. It's, this is what you can have, but we need to get the house in order first. But yeah, the jobs one, and when it comes to profitability, is an interesting one, because I think everyone has a different view on that, and I can see what's happening.
Yeah. Great news for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I do remember the RPA wave. I don't know if you remember that, 2016, 2017, robotics process automation. And there was all this talk. The big four were kind of the big partners in that space, and they were very much selling it on FTE savings. So they're like, we'll go in, we'll automate your whole accounts payable team. And, they were quantifying that based on, say, if you had a team of 14 accounts payable specialists, they would all be made redundant. And that was the savings you would make. So with AI, you obviously redundancies in block. I think Atlassian just announced more redundancies. I suppose this is more philosophical, but is that really going to happen in the sense that, the redundancies, we're going to have lots of unemployment, and is that something we should be striving for?
I'm not sure it's going to result in unemployment. Well, first of all, if you take Ireland just as the first use case and forget about globally for a second, we don't have enough people to do the jobs in the first place. And it's a funny one as well, because anytime I hear a conversation about AI, any conference I go to, it's not about replacing people. And I'm like, really? Like, look at the news, open a newspaper or open it on your iPad or however you do that these days. But it's a bit like when the tractor arrived to the farm. Did it replace people? It replaced the people behind the horses. It did. But they moved up a notch. They moved up to higher level work. Did the robot, when it arrived to the factory, replace people? It did. It replaced thousands of people, tens of thousands of people. There's factories now that we're working with in the Middle East. They're dark factories. They don't even turn on the lights because there's no people. So that happened. And now it's all of a sudden become a problem because it's at professional services level and it's the guy in the office. And it's like, oh, it's going to take the accountant's job or the legal work. Oh, this is a problem. Is this the right thing? Is this right for humanity? But I think we need to be honest about it. It is replacing those mundane tasks. It's replacing those repetitive tasks, but it's also doing a better job in most cases. Like there's a lot of tasks that AI does in seconds that humans just can't do. The most intelligent person in the world can't do quickly. So it just makes sense. It doesn't mean that we're all going to be out living on the streets, please God. I don't know that answer, and I don't think anybody does. But it does mean that it's certainly going to change the way you do your job today. And I think that's going to happen, or it is happening quicker. You just look at the tech companies in Dublin alone and look at their job announcements. They can wrap it up however they like, but it's happening. It's me or you aren't going to change that. I think it's just about having an honest conversation and saying, well, if you do your job in a certain way today, that's going to be different and very different in a couple of years.
Yeah.
So get on board.
Buckle up.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've mentioned the Middle East a few times. So obviously, I know on your website, you've got Ryanair as a customer, company born in Meath, but it seems like the plans for Sensys are further afield from just Ireland.
Yes. So we're very much have a global mindset. Our clients are very much in the lean community, which are globally from US to Australia and everywhere in between. We have an office in Dubai which I consider as the AI center of the world right now. The investment that the government are putting into AI and adoption there is phenomenal. And even away from a macro level, in the day-to-day of how business is done, conducted, or even consumer to business is phenomenal. Like the efficiency is just nuts. And how technology is used, like simple technology, AI agents into WhatsApps, hospital appointments in WhatsApp using AI agents. The efficiency is phenomenal. And I think the West, that's not just the Middle East or the UAE, that's, further east as well. But I think the West can learn a lot, certainly Europe. We get bogged down a lot in regulation, in cybersecurity, in GDPR, and those things are very important. I'm not dismissing them. They're absolutely, again, the bedrock of what should happen, but not at the cost of using this technology for what it's meant for, and become efficient, become really efficient. And yeah, I would hang my flag on we're just miles behind in Europe in most cases. And they're moving a million miles an hour. And from an efficiency point of view, again, different people will have different views on, is that because of labor, the amount of labor, cheaper labor, et cetera. I'm purely coming at it from a technology point of view. And we use most of the technology. We've access to all of the technology here. It's just, it's a million miles ahead in that side of the world. So for Ireland, we have team in Asia, and we have teams in Dubai specifically. Our focus is certainly on growing the business in Ireland and the UK. That's home for us. Okay. But certainly geography isn't really an issue for us because we're very much tech, cloud, AI. Where the projects and clients where we can add value will go, So
brilliant. Well, that's been great, Ben. Thanks very much. Where can people find you if they're looking to connect?
So LinkedIn or our website. So we're quite active on LinkedIn in terms of video content, in terms of talking about lean AI automation in businesses specifically. So you can get that on my LinkedIn at Ben Kileen, or our website, www.sensys.ie. That's SENSYS.
Brilliant. All right, Ben, thanks very much.
Thanks for having me, James.